You're constantly searching for the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and then you're never happy or satisfied with where you are right now. And that's where the beauty is. Surrender and breathe and know that everything will fall into place. It will eventually all work out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the FY Podcast, Finding Your Inspiration, where we find it and we follow it. Today, we got an incredible guest in the house, special guest, Jaina Lee Ortiz. Tremendous actress, dancer. She's also a native New Yorker from the Bronx, and we're going to talk about her journey. Jaina, welcome.
That was such a lovely introduction. Hey, that was serious. That was sweet. Thank you.
I'm so grateful that you're here, man. Thank you so much for doing that.
I'm really happy to be here.
Good.
I told you when you said, can you be on my podcast? I said, yes, I'll make it happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And that's what I'm a believer of. Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Right,
you know?
Right. Well, I could definitely, you've always supported, man. You came out to the plays when I was doing the plays and people say when somebody blows up, they forget where they come from. You definitely are not that person.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's great. It's always great to watch somebody that you see, like, really, because I mean, it's not like I know you your whole life, but from when I met you, it's like we were kind of all grinding, doing the small
things. Right, and it was different. When we met, I wasn't working at all.
Right. Yeah, I think you had like 3 credits on IMDb or something.
And they were just like not pretend, but you know what I mean? Like a student film. I mean, they were. I actually lied on one of my credits.
Stop it.
Yes.
Can you say which one?
Yes, it was Modern Family. I had wrote down that I had a co-star role on Modern Family, but really it was just a picture. I was used in a photograph with Sofia Vergara. And when I went into Coast to Coast agency, they asked me about it, and they asked me about my experience, and I'm not a great liar. So I tried to finagle my way into being like, yeah, they used me, but then they removed my scene, and I think they could tell that I was lying.
Yeah. I think we elaborate on credits all the time, but that's funny that you were. So what is the feature? It's actually just
0 credits. I had 0 credits. I maybe did like a couple student films, but that was it. It wasn't enough for agencies to take seriously.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, before we even get into the acting, because I could go on and on about what I've experienced watching your journey and just being I don't know, I guess I could say a small part of it and like producing plays. I mean, you did 2 plays with our theater company, and at the time, like you said, you didn't have credits. You were kind of just like the rest of us, like grinding, doing plays, but your work ethic was incredible. So I have a story about that. That just when I knew it was like, oh, she's different. I mean, I knew it like when you auditioned and you got cast in Samantha's play. I remember, and it was like
yes.
But we're getting into all that. I want to get into Jaina's journey, where you come from. Let's start from kind of the beginning. Tell us about your life.
Well, okay, all right. I know it's such a deep dive. No, but I grew up in the Bronx, New York, as an only child. And my parents don't come from the theater or the TV and film industry. They had no idea what it's about. My only child, no, 0 first cousins, wow. 0 the only grandchild. I'm actually the last of my family tree. So my family tree ends with me. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So no cousins to play with or nothing?
I have like a lot of family friends.
Okay.
And I think early on, that's when I learned, it's not who you're related to. It's the family that you create.
Sure.
You know, so I have a lot of family friends that I grew up with. And at the time, I would say I was about 8, 9. I wanted to do gymnastics because I think that's how I was inspired. I was watching the Olympics and I was like, oh, I want to be a gymnast. And my mom couldn't afford gymnastic classes. So she brought me to this dance studio in the Bronx called Starlight Dance Studio. And that's what she could afford. And I basically was put into dance class. And how I got into Salsa Mambo was they basically asked me, do you want to do hip hop or do you want to do Mambo? And I was like, what's Mambo? So they showed me the difference with a pair of shoes. They showed me a jazz sneaker shoe and they showed me a dance Mambo heel. And I was such a girly girl. I wanted to be a princess. Every Halloween and every, birthday, I wanted to wear a dress. So I chose the heel, and that's what got me into salsa, mambo, dance. And I was dancing from 9 years old. I started teaching at 13. I started traveling at 15.
Wow.
And that's what I would say was kind of like my journey into acting. That dance was the introduction.
Were you competitive, like in school?
Yes. I think I got my competitiveness from my dad because he's a natural born athlete and he's just a very disciplined man. My mom also was the one that, sort of pushed me. Hey, anything you want to do, anything you want to achieve, you can do it. Like number one cheerleader all the way. So I think that combination made me super competitive. Yeah.
Like you're definitely that symbol for a lot of us, because we knew you before the success. Right. So it's like, it definitely can happen. And, I'm at a point in my life where it's not even about bookings or where I'm at. It's about the journey. So your journey's been beautiful, and it's been with ups and downs that I got to see, and the way you've triumphed through it constantly. Right. And you're always loving. You don't get jaded. Right. It's like your friends are your friends. And you don't depict who's your friend because someone else says. So that's noble, and that's.
I agree to your point about like enjoying the journey and enjoying the process. Once you reach, there's a saying that you where you are now is where you dreamed of being like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So just in that sense of enjoying the process, because once you get to where you want to be, and if you don't appreciate and take that in, you're constantly searching for the next thing, and then you're never happy or satisfied with where you are right now, and that's where the beauty is.
Cool. So let's talk about. So you're dancing. So you were a salsa professional dancer before acting.
Yeah, dancing was at the time. I feel like it was sort of. I don't know. It was something fun to do on the weekends, but I think it was much deeper than that. Like it taught me discipline. It taught me hard work. It taught me the way you practice is the way you perform. And I sort of, because of dance, and even though I wasn't learning ballet or jazz, I was doing salsa. Like I was through my mom putting me in dance, I was able to connect with my culture and my roots. And I didn't really realize the importance behind it as I'm doing it, because it's, it's fun. But looking back now, it did keep me out of trouble.
Yeah.
It was also like therapy in a way. It was also just sort of a therapeutic experience. It was like my escape.
Yeah.
In a way. And I wish, I didn't realize how helpful therapy is until I became 35 or I turned 35.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. No, stop it. Thank you so much. But dance was in a way like therapy, I think.
Yeah.
For me. But anyway, I love dance. I still do it when I
You still dance with the same coach. I'm actually, aren't you with John Paul's wife?
Oh yeah,
Stephanie. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She keeps me on my toes. I mean, she's an amazing dancer. But I love to social dance, and it brings me back.
When did you know? And if you knew, I don't know if there was a moment of, this is definitely what I want to do, right? As far as acting, I'm going to stick with the acting because that's what you do professionally now. And when did you know, for the people out there viewing, especially I like to say for the young viewers that are like I don't know what I want to do, but they're going to see your story and go, whoa, when they Google you and go, oh, wow, this is possible. When did you know, like, this is what I'm going to do for sure?
I think I was 21 when I knew for sure, because when I was 15, I was performing at side streets in the Bronx. And these students from NYU were like, can't you be in our, are you interested in being in a 5-minute student film? And I was like, yeah, sure, that's exciting. And I don't know what's a student, like, what? So I had no idea what this world even was. And so in that experience, I loved it. Granted, I saw myself on, I saw the final film and I was like, oh my God, I'm terrible. I'm just like, why didn't I study for this? So in that moment, I realized, wow, I enjoyed this process. I enjoyed this art. It's a way of performing and being on stage, but it's longer than just a 3-minute routine. And I get to vocalize, like I get to use more than just my physicality. Like I get to communicate and actually feel and experience something. So I knew that acting was something very special when I was 15, but until I was about 20, 21, I realized I don't want to pursue a future in dance. Originally, I wanted to open up my own dance studio and my own company and just have a business in the dance world. And I realized that's not something that it's not something that I see as, I don't think it's going to carry me through, and I don't think it's going to fulfill me in the way that acting did at that time. That just one little experience. And so at 21, I said, okay, I want to hang up the dance shoes and take acting seriously, and I can get some training.
Yeah.
And that's when I did 2 years at Maggie Flanigan, studies Meisner in New York City. And then at that point, that's when I moved to LA with 0 credits and 0 representation and said, I'm just going to go. Do it.
Important mention. So you made the decision, you jumped into Maggie Flanigan's 2-year program, which is an intense, no joke, Meisner program, New York City, some of the greatest actors, Sam Rockwell, Phil Hoffman, some of the greatest actors studied with Maggie, right? And
her training to this day affects me.
Yeah,
like her.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What talked about that? What were the repetitions?
But just that, it's such a different experience being, having trained in New York, even if it was just for 2 years, but still coming out to LA and going to auditing my first acting class. The way in which actors show up and take it, how serious they take it. I mean, night and day. I mean, you show up 30 minutes early, even an hour, and you're stretching, you're warming up your body, vocals, everything. There are higher stakes, I feel like, in the training.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I feel like the passion for the work is different too.
Yes.
Definitely in the theater. LA has great theater. Great theater. Yeah, I love, but New York definitely brings a different energy, and the integrity they bring to the work. And, it's addictive, and I love it.
So I would say those 2 years at Maggie were life altering, and I think I did it at the right time, because I'm glad, even though at 21, some people would be like, oh, that's so late, but really, I don't, I'm glad I was able to have a normal childhood and experience being a teenager without being in this industry.
Yeah, well, clearly it wasn't too late. Look at where you're at today.
Thank you. But not just gaining that life experience and being able to use it.
Yeah.
In the work.
Yeah, I agree, because as a kid, I studied at HB Studios.
I'm sorry. I went to HB Studio before I went to Maggie.
Talk to me about the ups and downs that you've experienced, especially, I guess, in the industry, or before. How do you deal with, it could be any, it doesn't have to be an industry, but I know you've had some industry that like after one show, I know that one hit you hard after the cancellation of one show before getting to what would be really life-changing, your next show.
I think the hardest part or the lowest part for me, other than my mom passing away, was right before I booked Rosewood, which was my first show.
Yeah.
I was getting so close. And every time, I would get right before being chosen. Obviously, all the rejection you're dealing with just eats at you. And I remember there was a moment where I did the producer sessions. I went to the network and I tested and all. I got to the very last stages of the auditioning process where for 3 years straight, it just wasn't happening. Nothing. I was desperate, even just for a co-star. I just wanted to say, the bathroom down the hallway to the right.
Right.
That's it. That's it. Five words to say. And so I remember considering a different job, a different profession. I said, I'm going to maybe take a little break and see, maybe I'm not supposed to do this.
Right.
And I think that's the moment where, I don't know, the universe or something just hits you with, it just gives you another opportunity, and then you have to take it. But I think it's that moment where you sort of have to consider, okay, maybe I need to fill myself up in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, I'm with you.
It's interesting because I'm sure every actor sort of feels that same way of, let me just not quit,
Right.
officially quit, but take a little break and maybe, change direction.
Sure. How do you feel? I'm glad I want to touch on that as an actor, because I had this conversation with my close friends a lot. Yeah, you're right. There's like this point where it's like you get to an age, you haven't booked it. Here's another thing you just mentioned. You were getting producer sessions. You were knocking on the door before Rose.
Yeah.
That's important too, because a lot of actors, and there's never a time you could say quit or nothing. But I think I see a lot of, I'm just going to say it, I think I see a lot of mental health issues, depression, anxiety happening with friends of mine. No money. They fall into ruts of like, I have no money, I got the same clothes, but I'm going to make it. Like acting, they're so locked on like, it's going to come. And sometimes I have conversations, I'm like, when's the last like series regular you went out for? And it's like, well, no. And it's like, you're still hitting co-stars after 20 years, maybe, which is fine because there's no, right? It could happen any day. But for me, I found like, I got to have other outlets, man.
Right.
That's why theater, the podcast, they're creative. My life today, I don't punch in and have a 9 to 5, which was I always said, man, I don't want to have this 9 to 5. I want to be, but it's like, I can't just keep crashing like the audition and the acting angle, because for me, I'm not really hanging on those doors. You got to be honest with yourself. Like, am I the guy they're bringing in for the leading role? I'm not going to give up on acting.
Right.
I'm going to keep auditioning. I'm going to keep taking classes and staying busy.
Yes.
But other outlets are important. So do you agree with that assessment?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. Because I feel like I noticed that a lot. Like with me in general, when I was just acting, it started to beat me up to where you find yourself getting jealous and then being like, dude, don't be jealous. Like a friend booked something and it's like, well, why not me? And nobody really wants to admit that, but it's like, it's natural. You start to think you're a piece of crap.
Right.
But dude, I'm a phony. Imposter syndrome. Have you ever suffered from imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Jaina Lee Ortiz. That is
Point where the point where it's because I'm so hard on myself and I'm I'm my own worst critic. That's what they say. I mean, you're your own worst. Yeah. So it's taken me a while to sort of get used to accepting certain things, like the fact that there's perfection doesn't really exist, and I have to sort of get over that. It's also it's never going to be how you planned. So don't, like, for me, I can't, I shouldn't have such high expectations or set my expectations here, because if I don't meet it, then I'm so disappointed. And so I try to live in sort of this like cautiously optimistic area. So yeah, I do struggle with imposter syndrome.
Yeah, especially before. I mean, I'm sure now you still do, but now it's like anything in life.
Yeah.
It's like if I won the championship belt, it's like I love Mike Tyson's always like, I was lived in fear all the way till the punches were going, but it was like, but at some point you're like, oh, I'm the champ of the world. You know you're a monster. It's like, you know you're good, but before, I mean, you still suffer, but before, was it bad? Where it was like, you're not booking, you're not getting the job.
Oh, I think it's even worse now.
Is it worse now?
It is worse now.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Tell me about that. So you're the star of a major network show and you're still feeling like...
Well, I mean, that's the thing that I'm sort of working through right now. And I think during this strike, it has sort of hit home a little deeper, and it's allowed me to question, who am I without this industry? What is my passion? What do I value? Like, it really makes me question.
Yeah, no, come with it. Yeah.
Just sort of, it's an identity sort of like slap in the face, or just like I'm standing right in the mirror going, okay, take all of this away.
Yeah.
What is going to fill my cup?
Wow.
You know, and that's why I'm doing this play right now, because if you truly love the craft, then you know what, you're gonna stick to what fulfills you. And as insane as this industry is, you know, and yes, it will suck you into that cynical way of thinking, as long as you stick to what makes you feel like this is the why behind it, this is why you started this in the whole beginning, then you're good.
I love that you're talking about, you know, since the strike happened now, you're looking into yourself and your why more. During the pandemic is when that happened for me. And it was like, when the pandemic happened, I was like driving Lyft full time, bartending. Me and my brother opened a bartending company that we still have. I'm gonna go do it tonight, actually, after I leave here. So that's been like a great, you know, income, side hustle. And I was doing all this stuff and doing theater, like nonstop theater. And I remember when the pandemic happened, it was like a reset, because everything shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, not only the industry, but the world. And it was, that's when I went on that fitness journey, which I gained the weight back, but I was running Ironman, like triathlons, because I started like seeing things different, like what's important. Like now the theater's gone and auditions are gone. And it was like, so who am I?
Yeah. When everything's stripped away, that's when you ask yourself, what's left?
And it's a beautiful, that's why I'm so glad you brought that up. It's a beautiful thing. I started on my, you know, also paying more attention and time with family. You know what I mean? It's like what's important. And so I'm glad that you touched on that. I want to real quick just, we mentioned imposter syndrome. So just for the audience, I wanted to just explain what imposter syndrome is. So imposter syndrome is when you feel, you know, if you're a musician and you feel that you truly do not have the gift, and in this particular sense, we're talking about acting. And
it's like a fraud.
Yeah. So you feel like a fraud. It could be in any industry, right? So you feel like, you explain it probably better than me.
Well, let's look up the definition.
We'll put the definition on here. Here's the definition.
Here's the definition. So that you know.
Okay.
I think I, for so long, have struggled with the idea that, for me, my work is never good enough. And I don't even know what it's supposed to look like, but I know that what it is, it's not enough, which is sort of a self-sabotage way of thinking. And I'm working towards it, because I used to think for for so long, oh, it's just me being humble. But no, it's really me just not being satisfied with my own potential. And I'm putting in 200% every time. So why am I not? And then I'm just going to grow into believing that, okay, this doesn't really mean anything. Okay, this recognition, this accolade, it's just nothing. And so I'm brushing it off as if it means nothing, but I should sort of appreciate and take in the acknowledgement. Like, people are acknowledging your work, people are praising and sort of, applauding you. It's okay to take that in.
Yeah.
Like, even for compliments, when people compliment you, no, you're rejecting a compliment. It's great to receive it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's working through that idea of, no, what the work that I do is, it has to make me sort of, I have to be satisfied by it.
Yeah. I have.
If I'm just sort of living in this dark artistic hole, or gosh, like that's no good either. So yeah. I'm saying in the middle of that. So in order to summarize it, therapy has been helping. Therapy has been helping me tremendously.
I have a buddy who's a very successful writer, and I'm not going to mention who it is, but we talk pretty much on a daily basis or every other day. And this guy's like the king of dark art. He's brilliant, and he is the most negative.
Yeah.
Like, I'll send him something I'm proud of, a piece of work or something. And like, one time I shot a reel. I made a reel, and I sent it to him like, hey man, he was like, never in your life send me something so crappy. Have some dignity in your work.
He said that to you?
I swear. But the thing is this.
He's to eliminate.
No. The thing is this. Maybe something's wrong with me. I was like, he's right.
Oh, but you believe it?
No. I believed it.
See,
it was off.
That's what it is. It's like you believing that, but that's your own voice.
Yeah.
Telling
it's
you.
my own voice.
Yeah.
And then, but it was unhealthy the way I took it. But the way I'm built, I actually...
did it as a challenge?
Yes. And my next project I sent him.
Like, I want to prove you.
He was so proud. And he was like, that's what I'm talking about. You're not there yet.
Right.
That was solid.
And sometimes seeking the validation from yourself is even so much. Like, maybe that's something that we don't realize what we need.
Right.
But maybe it comes from within, because everyone could tell you you're great, you're this, you're that, oh, you suck, but it's what you truly believe of yourself that matters, because you live with that. You have to go to sleep with those thoughts. You have to wake up to those feelings.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Sometimes feelings are not true.
Right.
But it's what you're carrying every day.
Well, and I know you're two things. One, I will say about this guy in particular, because I don't want him to sound so too bad.
We didn't.
No, we didn't mention it, but he'll watch this, and he knows. But what I do want to say about the guy is that what he's an advocate of is not worrying about other people's opinion of you. That's what he was trying to teach me. I should have been more clear that you're sending me work so hard.
We are trained to take things personally.
Yes.
And so we have to sort of shut that off on the outside in.
Right.
We go in the outside world, Rob.
Oh, and I know you, because I had an experience with you one time where I wasn't being the nicest person, and I sent you a picture. I created, I'm not going to be specific about what it was. I don't know if you remember. I sent you a picture. It was like social media. It was like your social media.
Oh, I think so.
I mean, your response was, Paul, everybody deserves love, and social media is a tricky place. And that's when I know this is so vague, but I can't be specific about this. What I'm saying is your response put me in my place of like, dude, she has all these followers and she loves her followers, but she's still saying Paul just because somebody doesn't have followers, or don't be tricked by people's likes or comments. Like, it's great that if people like your stuff, that's what I was trying to get at. And you proved to me in that moment, I sent it out of love for us. Like, yo, Jay, check this out. And you were just like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's perception. And the lesson I got from you was like, hey, this is somebody who has like all these followers that I thought she was like, yeah, like on some like 50 cents stuff, like, yeah, they love me. And it was like, that's, and that's when I knew like you're a real person. You respond to texts from,
and because at the end of the day, it's a number. Granted, it's a massive amount of people who support you and love your work. But at the end of the day, it's you by yourself.
It has to be satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't sort of communicate that clearly, but you know what?
No, you're absolutely right. I think in closing on that topic, it's that as entertainers, we want people to like our stuff, but it actually isn't our business if people like it or not. We do the work that fulfills us. And as an artist, and if people enjoy it and there's accolades, great. If not, I have to go to bed knowing as a filmmaker the same, that the product I put out, it may be offensive to some, it may not, it may empower, but
some people may.
It was therapy for me. I put out the work I needed to get out to the world, and hopefully it resonates, and if it doesn't, it does.
That's what my mom always used to tell me. Who cares? Because, film reviews may come in. Mm-hmm. People may not have the best things to say about your work, but she would always ask me, how did you feel about it? What did it do for you?
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Right? Did you feel good? Did you have a great experience? Did you love the process? Leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Jaina, as we start to close out, let's talk about today. You're professionally in a great place. Everybody I know loves your show, and my family loves it, and they're huge fans. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, that's a good question. I ask that question sometimes on my podcast after we wrap. My podcast after we wrap.
We'll definitely plug it. Throw some.
And that is something that I like to ask, but don't like to answer.
Yeah.
Because I am currently living through just moment by moment, day by day.
Right.
And enjoying, because that's where my fear and anxiety comes from, worrying and being fearful about what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, 5 years.
Right.
And if I just enjoy what's happening right now, I feel like in the next 5 years, I'm going to be filled with peace and happiness. And that's what I look forward to.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I'm doing or where I'm at. And I think what I'm doing now sort of speaks to the thing that I yearn, the thing that fulfills me creatively. Do what you love, because this play, the thing that I'm getting out of it is way more than any massive paycheck that I could get.
Nice.
So I love that I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. And I think if I keep, sort of on that path, I'll be very peaceful. I'll be filled with a lot of peace. That's what the goal is.
Nice.
To keep that peace.
And that's plenty.
Yeah.
Anything outside of the arts that you have ambitions to, that have nothing to do with acting?
I've been loving planting. I'm like a plant lady.
A green
now. Yes. I like to sort of have planting. I know it's weird, but
What is it about it? Watching things grow, or is it light?
Or care of something that's not an animal or a child.
Let's dig into this.
I know, right? The idea of like understanding, because plants are energy, and I just learned how to not kill my plants. Well, I not wood, but you sort of, you have to take it out of its environment and start it fresh, and then it starts off in this shock period, and then it sort of grows into this healthy, beautiful thing that, I don't know, I'm just loving that the whole process of it.
Nice. I think it's beautiful. And I
Thank
think
you
it's
so
great.
much for just hanging out with me and bringing me on and chatting.
Stop. Thank you for coming on. I want you to shoot, if you don't mind, my listeners just a message for anybody out there that's feeling doubt, that because it doesn't matter what we do, anybody out there, if it's you're applying for a job at McDonald's or you're on a major network show, doubt is doubt. And what advice would you give that person that's in fear and doubting that they're somebody with imposter syndrome, doubting that they're enough to do what's in front of them? How does Jaina?
I would say if you are feeling doubtful, fearful, sort of lost in your situation, what I would do is surrender and breathe and know that everything will fall into place. You will be exactly where you end up at the right time, in the right place, and it will eventually all work out. And just letting go, surrendering, and trusting the process has been scary, but ultimately very fulfilling at the end. And that sucks to be like, wait, so I just do nothing and sort of let go? And kind of, because it will all end up working out. Maybe not right now, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. And just there is always that sliver of hope, of light. And if you always have that and never lose it, I think you're good to go.
I have one final question. I was going to ask you earlier, but I also like to avoid losing a parent. I think any of us out there could imagine who hasn't lost a parent, the pain that it brings. Mm-hmm. And anyone who has experienced it already knows the pain. You lost Daisy, but I don't want to focus too much on the pain of losing Daisy. I want you to tell us a little bit about your mother's memory, a memory with her, and something that she gave you, a quote, words, anything that you hold in your heart dear today.
I would say it's belief. The fact that she believed in me, if you could find anyone in your life, because sometimes you're living in a world where you're like, I don't even believe in myself. And to have someone, to know someone, whether they're a friend, a sister, brother, cousin, someone you just meet at a coffee shop, like someone who leaves you with that feeling of, I believe in you, I see you, I know you can accomplish whatever you want to do, whatever you set your mind to. When you have that person in your life, keep them there, and they will carry you through all the struggles and all the fear and all the doubt. And that was what she was to me. So find yourself a Daisy.
I love that, Jaina. Oh my goodness!
Why'd you hug my underarm?
Well, I was just giving a smell check, mate, sir. I don't know why I did that. I want to close this out. Everybody, thank you for watching. This is another episode of FYI, Finding Your Inspiration, where we find our inspiration, we follow it. We just sat down with Jaina Lee Ortiz. We talked about a variety of things. What I took out of today's conversation was belief. Find that person that believes in you, carry it with you. Jaina's had all kinds of ups and downs on her journey. We didn't have enough time to dig as much in as I would love to. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll do it again.
Maybe I'll come back.
Yay! For now, what I would say to take out of this, principal points, find what it is you love. If you're dealing with self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, know that that's all here. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're at, where you come from, what your culture is, what class, economical class you're in. Anything is truly possible. That's not just some mumbo jumbo. You just got to work hard. You got to find what you believe in. Chase it, man. Not all of us are going to hit what Jaina said some earlier, that not everything's the way you vision it. Sometimes you get to where you want to go and it's not the way. That was another major question I wanted to ask, actually, is now that you have this platform, is it what you expected?
Absolutely not.
So I know we're in my closing statement. That was another question, but listen to that. Sometimes you get where you think your destination was and it's not what you expected. And I believe the reason that is because there is no destination. This is a marathon. It's not a race. Life is a journey. Enjoy every moment enjoy today. Enjoy the moment you're in, because tomorrow's not promised and yesterday's gone. All these slogans, they make sense. Put them in your heart. So for now, find what you love, chase it with everything you have, and find people that believe in you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you on the next one.
You should never stress about the problems you be facing. Everybody in the mud on the struggle trying to make it. Look into the mirror and you see your motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration. I'm finding inspiration, and once I get a hold of it, I'll never get complacent. Look into the mirror and you see the motivation. Then you step into the world and you find your inspiration.